Hello and welcome to my second video about me learning Slovak for no good reason. My not so great reasons I already explained in my first video, so if you want to go check it out. In this video I'm going to explain my approach to learning Slovak. As I already have stated in my first video, I don't have relations to Slovakia. I'm not very often there. Actually, I've been there only once. Um, I don't have friends there. I don't know anybody who is from Slovakia. So my approach wouldn't be trying to communicate with real people, but to learn it from at home, of course, nowadays via an app. So when I looked it up, I found that there are not so many options of learning Slovak via an app. Especially the big ones, the big players, don't feature Slovak among the languages they teach. But there are several. I was looking for one that was fitting for me. So I have to explain a little bit. Many people learn best by hearing words, hearing complete sentences, and somehow uh, find out by themselves how the grammar works and how the pronunciation works. Um, that's not me. Actually, in my first video, I explained that I suck at learning Slavic languages, but I suck even more at immersion. It's not for me. If you put me in an environment of a new language, I just couldn't reproduce it. I tend not to remember words I hear. I have to read them and I have to understand how they are written and I have to understand the grammar um, before I can try to build sentences on my own. For example, in the app I currently use, they are mostly vocabulary and very few sentences, mostly greetings and so on. So I accounted the phrase ako samaj and ako samate, which mean how do you do? How do you do one person and how do you do if you address several persons? Um, I couldn't remember it. I tried. Only 3 words, but I couldn't remember it. I was missing the context. What does it mean word by word? So I looked it up in Google Translate and other dictionaries, and I found out that ako means how, sa means yourself, and maj or mate are versions of the verb to have. So word by word, this means how yourself have you. And this helped a lot. Actually, in German, there are phrases you can use in the same way, especially in Viennese, where you could say, "Wie hammers," how do we have it, with the meaning of how do you do. And once I figured that out, I could remember the phrase because I knew what it meant word by word. Maybe that's not for everybody, but that's the way I can learn and remember languages. So by now, this phrase is easy for me, but sometimes I have to think about it and then I will put it together piece by piece like little Lego blocks. And that's exactly how I learn a language. Pronunciation, writing, words, and grammar. So when I looked around for an app I could use, I encountered several. Some of them I didn't like from the way it was presented or the optics or how it was handled. and some just didn't match my needs. For example, one of them, which I tried for a while, immediately dropped me into situations, into conversations. I didn't like it. I can't follow a conversation if I don't know what the individual words mean. So after a while, I found an app called Memrise, which doesn't offer a course in Slovak, but it has a cool feature. It's community based, and you can add your own courses. And one of the members made a Slovak course, and it was perfect for me. It starts out with the letters of the Slovak alphabet, um, and actually treats the letters in a way it would treat vocabulary. You learn some of them, then they are repeated. You learn more of them, then they are repeated. And for me, because I never learned a uh, Slavic language before, this was perfect. I was learning it bit by bit, like atom by atom, like Lego blocks. And I just spent the first days by learning and repeating the letters. The letters are not so different from the German alphabet, but a little bit, and sometimes the pronunciation differs. So this was perfect to getting used to the language. The next step in the app uh, is numbers. Not only numbers from 1 to 10, but further, further, further. And this was also good for me because I got used to the sound and the feel of the Slovak language. And of course, learning numbers has a lot of repetition because numbers repeat themselves after a while, 23, 24, 33, 34. And this repetition, also in a way like a vocabulary, uh, really helped me to get the first feeling for this language. And of course, I could learn how to use the letters I learned before. This might sound very, very boring. And yes, it is very, very boring. But for learning a complete new language from a new language family, which I never learned before, this was perfect. And from there on, it got easier. This app is not the only one I use, of course. I use dictionaries like Google Translate, but my favorite is DictCC, which is community based also. You can add your own words. You can ask for a spoken version of a word which is not recorded yet. And it's really helpful. It has a lot of options and different ways. I like it a lot as it is constructed. And then there's a website called Slovake or Slovaki.eu, which is also really helpful. It offers insight into the Slovak language, explaining how it works, a little bit of the history, grammar, and so on. You can use the website in different languages. I use it in German, and I can look things up, like grammar, for example. I will use the site more in the future because it offers courses also, but only written. It's not an app. So it's a great addition to my first arsenal. With the first app, online dictionaries, and a little bit of online grammar, that's enough for me for the moment. The first steps in the new language. And how I did while taking my first steps, which I found interesting, strange, confusing, I will explain in the next videos, which will focus more on me learning Slovak for no good reason. If you want to be part of this journey. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we will see each other in the next video. Do widzenia. Dovi.